Hello and welcome to a new video of how to make a game in Unity. In this part I'll show you how to press a button whatever it appears like. You can put an image here or whatever. The main thing over here is the script, and once we pressing the button it shows us a pause text. Pressing it again it shows us some kind of a countdown, and then activated after 3 or how many you want seconds. So let's see how it's done. Okay, so basically what we're gonna need is a button here, the one that activates our function. We're gonna need a pause text. It's just a simple text that we call it a pause text. This is the one that once we are hitting the button it will activate as pause to let the player to know that he's in a pause mode. And here's another text that this is supposed to be the 3, 2, 1, etc. Now I created this empty game object by creating empty, and I call it script holder, and this is the one that has the script on it. So let's see how it's done. So basically I'm gonna delete all this code. This is the actually unfinalized code, so let's delete that. And we're gonna need a few variables. First, let's use public text and call this pause text. Another text is gonna be a countdown text. Okay, now in order to use the text we're gonna need the Unity engine.ui. So if you guys don't have one, just add the namespace, and this is how you add the text. And in a private variables, private int timer, okay, and a private bool pause. Okay, now first of all let's create the function in order to see how it's working. It's a public void PauseTheGame, and all what it does is flipping the pause value from true to false. So pause equals to not false. Sorry, it's pause equals to not false. So basically, if the value of the value of pause is true, it's flip it to false, etc. This is how I'm gonna activate the function. Now, if pause, then time scale equal to 0. This is the code that stops our game. Now, if it's not pause, else time scale equals to 1. This is the one that is reactivating the game. So let's see how this affects our game. We're saving, playing. Now pressing the pause, pausing the game. Pressing the pause again, reactivating the game. Cool. So let's get back. Now, what we're gonna need, if it's in a pause mode, the pause text is gonna be game object set active into true, right? And the same line of code we're gonna use in the start button. Let's create our start button. Let's create our start button, start function, sorry. And here, at the start of the game, the pause text will not be visible. So basically, pause text.gameObject.setActive is false. Now, the same thing we're gonna use for the countdown text. That's good. Now, because we're in the start function, let's set the pause, the boolean, the pause equals to false, and the timer, let's let's set it to 3. Now again, we're going to do this step by step. So if pause, the time scale is 0, pause text is visible right now, and here the same when we are doing the pause text, that game object, that set active is now false. False. And in the same note, the countdown text is now visible. True. And the countdown text, that text, is the one that's showing us what text it is. It's timer plus this empty quote, because timer is an int value, and the countdown.text is it's expecting a string value. So this is why we're adding the quotes. Basically, if we didn't have this, it's gonna give us an error. It says cannot implicitly convert type int to string. That's why we're adding this little add empty quote in order for that to consider it a string. So that's it. Let's see how it affects our game. Pause. Good. Because of timer it's set to 3. Now pause. Now you're noticing that we have another problem. Is once we're doing the pause button, it's leaving the countdown text appear. So let's fix that. If pause, let's see, false, and here says the countdown text. So if pause, then stop the game, set active for the pause text, and deactivate the countdown text. And if it's not paused, pause text is gonna be unvisible, the countdown text is visible, the countdown text is equal to the timer value, and reactivating the game. But what we're going to try to do is not reactivate it automatically. We're gonna try to do this after a few seconds. So basically, if we want to delay one of the functions for a few seconds, we're gonna need something that's called IEnumerator. It's a coroutine. Basically what this does, once you see it you'll understand. So let's call this one pause for 3 seconds. Okay, now it's given us some kind of an error because it needs to return a yield value. So let's add the code. Yield return new, wait for a second. Now this line of code says wait for seconds. 1 second. How many seconds? 1, 2, 3. Never mind. Your choice. And once we're waited 1 second, I wanted to get back the time. I wanted to display the text. And part of this I wanted before the. Let's say that we want this one. We want to timer is -1. Let's just, and here this part, we'll do it right here. So basically the coroutine, pause text is equal to false, countdown text is equal to true, countdown text is the value of timer, wait 1 second or 2 or 3, whatever, then timer is -1 value, and the countdown text is displaying the timer value, then return the game. You're gonna notice that we have this small problem with this code, but just bear with me over here. Now start a coroutine, display, save. I'm using the Control S, but you know that. Waiting for it. Play. So, pause the button, pausing the game. Now now it disappeared the pause text, and it's activated the countdown text, but we're having a problem that it doesn't activate in this code, and it's not activating in this code. Basically, after the wait for seconds, every line over here, it's not activating, and this is a simple explanation to what time scale equals to 0. It's not activating any coroutine. It's stopping the game for good. So a part to reroute this kind of a problem is not wait for a second, wait for seconds real time. What the difference is that here it's not connected to the time scale itself. It's actually counting down 1 second, and then it's activating these lines of code. So let's save and let's see how it affects our game. So let's see. Pressing once, twice. Good. Now, the only problem with this code is once we do this pausing the game again, it's not gonna wait another second. So let's see. Now we want it to count down for 3 whole seconds, and then disappear in the countdown and displaying the pause text. So let's see how it's done. Now I'm gonna use for this kind of thing, we're gonna use 2 coroutines. One that is waiting for, let's say, 3 seconds and then returning the time scale, and one that is actually doing the countdown and displaying the text. So let's create another enumerator. Let's call this one countdown. And let's use this code. Wait for 1 second. Timer is -1 value. Basically, we're gonna need this code over here, and what this does is actually just counting to 3, then reactivating the game. Once we're finishing to waiting 3 seconds and returning the game, I wanted to stop the coroutine because I don't want it to be an infinite one. This is gonna save us a lot of trouble, so pause for 3 seconds. Excellent. Now here in the countdown coroutine, we're gonna use this code while, because it's not an infinite coroutine, while, let's say, timer is bigger than 0. Okay, we're using this code only when the timer is bigger than 0, because if we didn't add this line of code, the timer is going to continue to -1, -2, -3, etc. So basically, this line of code is stopping it from becoming negative, and it's only gonna stop it once it's reached 0 and reactivating the game. So let's add a few more values here. The pause text dot game object that's set active is gonna be false, and the countdown text is gonna be true, and the countdown text dot text dot text is gonna be equal to timer plus the empty quote, and here's the same thing. Now after we finish, and while the timer is bigger than 0, it's gonna wait 3 seconds or whatever value you gave it, if it's 5, if it's 4, whatever. Once it reaches 0, I want to stop this coroutine, but let's try to do this in another way. We're gonna say that the countdown text .game object dot set active is equal to false. I want it to disappear after it finishes. Don't forget to start the coroutine of countdown, duplicating this line of code. Now, we only have one thing to do, is once we are pausing the game, I'm gonna need to stop all the coroutines, because these coroutines are only happening once we are not pausing the game. Pausing the game is deactivating the coroutine. Unpausing the game, it's gonna count to 3, display the text, and after 3 or 5 or whatever value of timer, we're gonna set the game to start again. So let's first of all stop all coroutines. Stop all coroutines. Here we're gonna need to add over here. So let's get this one. We're gonna set this timer to be equal to 3. And one thing that I haven't done yet is while this is true, because once I activate the coroutine, this value is equal to 2. I'll stop it manually by this line of code. So let's save that and let's test this on the field. So let's go to Unity, saving, playing the game, playing, stop. That's a pause. Stop it again, press it again, 3, 2, 1, continue. That's excellent. Now let's try it again. Pause, 3, 2, 1. Basically guys, that's it. I know it's been a long video, but this is a good way to stop pausing the game and countdown. Basically, if you're gonna need to only pause in the game, the first line of code is pause equals to not pause is good enough, but we're trying to give another dimension to our game, so basically this could help. So see you next time in another video, and have a good day.